Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Jarvis Sam Show. I am your host, Jarvis Sam. This week, I am doing a rebroadcast because this episode is so amazing, so important, especially with it being Mental Health Awareness Month. I thought that it was really on point to rerun this episode. It's a really powerful episode. This is before we launched on Apple and Spotify and everything. So this one, you may have not heard this one. So this one's about mental health. This week I am joined by Christopher Robinson from the Inspired by Chris podcast. And I'm also joined by licensed mental health therapist Aneika Pruitt from Cadia Wellness. And we just have an amazing conversation about mental health, about things that make mental health and mental health issues kind of taboo in the Black community, and just a lot about dealing with the things we dealt with in 2020. Really, really great episode. I know you'll be blessed by it. Be sure to check out the Inspired by Christopher podcast. Just Google or search anywhere that you find your podcast for Inspired by Christopher, and check out his podcast. I'm going to have all of Aneika's contact information and information here in the description as well. And of course, check me out at jarvissam.com. Also, follow me if you're not already following me. Follow me at jarvissam_ on Instagram, as well as the show's Instagram, the Jarvis Sam Show on Instagram as well. I know you're going to be blessed by this episode, so sit back, relax, share this episode. If you enjoy it, please share it, shout it out, get it out to as many people as you can, because this one is going to truly bless you. Y'all sit back and enjoy. So, for those of you who've been following us, we did a mental health episode a while back, a really great conversation we had. And it really sparked this idea for me to actually bring on a licensed therapist on this podcast to really just share her professional insight into the things that we're facing. This year has obviously been very turbulent on many fronts, but just on day to day, we tend to carry loads that sometimes we don't even really realize we're bearing. Things that happen in our childhood, things that happen during our teenage years, relationship issues that we've had, all those different circumstances happen to us. And whether we know it or not, we carry those burdens. And, the added burdens of 2020 that they have brought, this year, I believe mental health has just been more of a hot topic than ever before. And, I just wanted to bring on someone who can really help steer us in the right direction for, maybe some coping mechanisms or just different advice that we can have during this crazy time that we're dealing with. We're all dealing with something that we've never experienced before in our lifetime. We're wearing masks. We can't go nowhere. We're cooped up in the house. We're having to be with our spouses that we haven't had to be on that level before, and just it's been different. So with those different circumstances come different stressors. So Aneika, tell the people what you do.
So as Jarvis said, I'm Aneika Pruitt, founder, owner, a clinical therapist at Cadia Counseling and Wellness, PLLC. And I'm a licensed professional counselor, supervisor, as well as a licensed chemical dependency counselor. A huge bulk of my work right now is dealing with women who are dealing with perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. So a lot of people have heard about postpartum depression. Well, and they think, that only happens the first couple of weeks after the baby's born. No, that's baby blues, a little different. That goes away rather quickly. Like I said, within the first couple, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at most. But there's postpartum depression, there's postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD, postpartum PTSD, postpartum psychosis. Diagnoses people probably have never heard of. And I'm going to be real honest with you. I've been in this therapy game for about 10, 11 years now. And I didn't even know about perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, or PMADs, until it was introduced to me by Miss Sherry Duson. She's the founder and owner of the Center for Postpartum Family Health here in Houston. And she was looking specifically for a Black therapist, specifically targeting the topic that you mentioned before we started, Jarvis, about Black clients looking for a Black therapist. And she just flat out put it out there on Facebook and was like, hey, I need a Black therapist, Black female therapist to assist with my clientele to come aboard my team. And so like I said earlier, the bulk of my population right now is dealing with clients who are dealing with PMADs, children, teenagers, and tweens who are dealing with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, or even attempts. And also just some adults who are just dealing with life. As we talked about earlier, COVID in 2020 has just been a thing. And so my clientele is, again, some of them are just dealing with adjusting with life, some more severe issues. So that's pretty much where I'm at. My history, though, has been pretty colorful as far as working with clients, either the homeless population, the AIDS population, children, teens, adults, aging. So I've had a nice, colorful background, I guess, if you will, as far as interning and career post-graduation to color my plate of population, I guess, if I would say.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. So you mentioned about the young lady wanting a Black female therapist. First and foremost, like, I think it's great when anybody recognizes that they need a therapist. But my first question for you is, why do you think that mental health issues are, like, talking about it or engaging in dialogue about it so taboo in the Black community and minority communities?
I think it goes back to the Black race and faith and or religion, depending on how you look at it. So in the past centuries, decades, however you want to look at it, the Black community was taught, or very deeply rooted in the church. And so when we look at the church in and of itself, it's like, okay, I have an issue. Let me pray about that. Or let me go to the elders of the church, the deacons, the ladies of the church, or the pastor directly and ask for prayer. Let me go pray on it. And I can even speak from experience from family members. It's like, oh, no. I'm glad you're a therapist. That's good. But I don't need therapy. I'm going to go pray about it.
I'm going to the Lord.
I'm going to the Lord, which, hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But I also feel like the Lord led people into this profession for a reason. And so I think a lot of it, honestly, is rooted in the church and faith or religion.
I think that's an interesting perspective, because I actually was a part of a church organization for several years, and I was in the ministry, and part of my services was I had to minister to those who had issues, and and to your point, like it's just, we just try to lead them to Jesus or lead them, but like sometimes it's more than that. And especially in the Black community, I feel like the Black community uses it kind of as a way to kind of sweep it under the rug. Like, oh, I'm giving it to God. Well, yeah, that's cool. It's cool to pray about it. But the word actually says faith without works is dead.
It's dead, yeah.
So you can have all the faith you want, but at the end of the day, you're just sweeping that problem under the rug to ignore it. And you're acting like you're giving it to God as like your mechanism to kind of, hey, I addressed it, but you didn't address it. Because those issues that those burdens that you're carrying happen to you, and those are real things. And realistically, God probably brought those things to you so he could bring you through it. But you have to have the discernment to know, I need to dig deeper into whatever this cause is and root cause it, because while the trouble may have come, like, or whatever the pain and suffering may come, if you don't fully deal with it, like, you can't heal what you don't reveal. So you need to be able to either have, I believe, good friendships where you can, pass that off, pass ideas off on, or you need to get real and get professional help. And I also think that our community thinks that crazy people get counseling. You got to be crazy. Like, I'm not bipolar. I'm not depressed. I'm not. No, you might not be full on, but if you keep letting these burdens, keep carrying these burdens on you, it's going to develop. And I think all of us got anxiety.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
if 2020 can give it to you, like you really have to check anxiety at the door. And I guess to something you just said, I want to make sure I'm clear. Like it's not necessarily the church's fault that Black people don't go. I like what you said. Like a lot of them use it as honestly their only way of knowing how to deal with stress, how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with depression that's literally been happening for generation after generation after generation. And some people looked at like, oh, she's just angry. Or to some, she's just an angry Black woman. He's just an angry Black man. No,
Right.
they're dealing with real systemic issues, which we've been talking about since February. Well, not since February 2020. It's just been on the forefront for America. They now see it. I love this meme I saw this week that said George Floyd's death was not a wake-up call. It's an alarm that's been sounding for over 400 years. This is not a wake-up call. You're just now hearing it. So, but to that, I want to say, like, the church is not the problem. It's the usual go-to. And for some people, it's just ignorance too. And I don't use ignorance in a as a way of saying like there's something wrong. They're just saying not knowing or not aware of when I say ignorance. And so some it's just going to the church. That's all that they know. That's all that they've been taught. To some, Black people just don't go to counseling. Like they just don't think that it's something that Black people do. And for others, there's a shame factor to it. Some are afraid to go just out of fear of being shamed by family or being shamed by friends, sometimes being shamed by a partner or a spouse for going. And so there are a lot of different barriers to why Black people sometimes do not seek counseling. But the interesting thing when I share with people, number one, I tell people I don't see crazy people. I don't even use that word. I don't see, if you're crazy, you can't do talk therapy. And I do talk therapy, which means I can't see you if you're crazy. So congratulations. I just proved to you that you are not crazy because you can sit here with me and have a conversation. That's one. Two, I generally tell people belief in a higher power. I don't care what your religion or faith is. Belief in a higher power actually helps you. It's a part of that foundation for helping you to get to a place of wellness or healing through whatever it is that you're dealing with. And I'm actually fortunate in my career, even though clinically, professionally, I cannot push my faith onto people. I've been blessed in my career so far to be able to share it. When the client opens that door and okay, sure, we can go there. Why not? Okay, that's fine. You want scriptures for homework? We can do scriptures for homework. That's fine. I'm good with that. I read the same book as you. So just as an aside there, it's not the church that's the problem. It's just that's sometimes all that people know.
It's our relationship with the church, or it's the way that we've been taught that this is what, because you got to remember, like the only book that our ancestors were ever given was the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's the only thing that they knew. So the answer got to be Jesus.
Exactly.
You know what, Aneika, I have a question. When it comes, because I know we talked about, Black people wanting Black therapists, because I'm wholeheartedly, I believe in that. I only want to deal with Black doctors, Black dentists. I want my baby to see a Black pediatrician. That's just how it is with in this household here. Do you see white people, and do white people have an issue when they're dealing with you, when they find out that you're a Black therapist?
I was waiting for this question. So the place I told you I was contracted with previously, who wanted, the lady wanted a Black therapist. I kid you not, 85-90% of the people that I saw with that contract were white. Very few were actually Black. And that's number one. And majority of them knew up front I was Black. If they didn't know, because maybe I didn't have these curly twists, maybe my hair was flat ironed or something, I don't know. They might have said, okay, well, I don't quite know. She might be nationality ambiguous. I don't know. Let me talk to her. Once they got in the office, some of them will just flat out ask. One said, are you Egyptian? No, I'm Black. Another, are you Hispanic? No, he was Colombian. You got to be Colombian. Nah, bruh, my parents are Black. So, some question, but once they find out I'm like my race, I don't know if it's just my demeanor, my aura, my presentation, they just feel comfortable. And so it has not been an issue for me having predominantly Caucasian. And so, well, I'd say about 70% have been Caucasian, white. Maybe 20% have been Hispanic, or someone of the Latin descent, and maybe that last 10% has been Black. But they have not had any issues. And I've had some funny scenarios in the past where I have dealt with white families. Like maybe in one case, I was seeing a child, and the dad flat out told me, "Ma'am, are you Black?" Because the child was at a facility. The parents were out of town living somewhere else. And he's only engaging with me over the phone. He said, "Ma'am, are you Black?" Because I guess his daughter told him I was. So, well, yes, sir, I am. Well, ma'am, I have a problem with that. I might need a different therapist. I said, well, that's fine. I can see what I can do to accommodate, because it's your preference. Just like Chris want a Black doctor, a Black pediatrician. It's his right to want a white therapist. Yeah. But when it came down to it, this Black therapist got him what he needed. And it changed his whole perspective on Black people. Maybe not every Black person, but at least this Black person was an example to say, I'm not what you think I am, or what you think my people are.
So he actually stayed with you.
Oh, he stayed. Okay. And he became a real parent working with me. It was hilarious. It's great.
Oh, wow.
It was better for the kid. He started holding his daughter accountable. And so the enabling that was going on prior to, because the therapist was Black, stopped happening. And his daughter started to really work on herself and make some serious progress. And that's just one scenario of several. So I tell people all the time, I don't like being the token Black person. But if I am, I'm going to be the best darn token Black person you'll ever meet, because I'm going to fight the stereotype. I'm going to effortlessly fight the stereotype, I guess I should say. So I won't be the video thought you're thinking that you're going to see, or I won't be the angry Black woman that you think you're going to see. I'm just going to be me in all my glory. And I don't have to fit what you think you see, or what you see on media, what you think I am, what you think I should be. Yes, I'm Black. Yes, I'm educated. Yes, I'm a mother with the same husband who's the father of both my kids. Yes, no. I can be just me, and I don't have to fit, the stereotype that you might think you're going to see from television. So it has been great.
That's some good stuff right there. Because that was the question I was going to ask you. If and you answered it, but I was going to ask if you came in contact with a white person who was looking for a therapist, and they were like, "Oh, no disrespect, but you Black, I'm looking for somebody that's my own," like, would you trip? But you answered it. Nah.
No. As a professional, I don't think any therapist should ever get offended if a client walks through the door and says, "I would prefer." That's their preference. If I prefer a male over a female, okay, fine, you prefer a male over a female. It's not a knock against me. I don't know what happened to you. I don't know what happened in your past. I don't know why you have that preference. And if I'm not your therapist, it's honestly none of my business. But it is my job and my duty to assist you in getting what you need and finding that referral for you without any bias, without any hurt feelings toward you. I'm just doing my job.
Jarvis, can I say one more thing before you take it back?
Of course.
I heard you mention, in this pandemic, 2020, whatever, that's extra mental health. And I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast, and he was talking about this cryptic message that Azalea Banks put out. For those who don't know Azalea Banks is a rapper. She's very controversial. And pretty much in her message, she said, hey, because we have to social distance, we can't really be in contact with others. It's driving me crazy. I'm about to end it tonight, and I'm going to film myself, and it's going to be a movie so y'all can see how I really felt or whatnot. And in hearing that, some people may think that she was trying to get attention. I don't know, but I think when it comes to mental health, I think you should just take all that seriously.
Every single time.
Absolutely. But do you get a lot of people who have to see you or talk to you because of the whole pandemic, not being able to be around others? Because think about this for a second before you answer that question, Aneika, and check this out, Jarvis. social media, Instagram, Twitter. Hey man, sometimes we post stuff because we want a response. You know, I want you to like this picture, you know, because I may need that in the moment. Or I may just post something because I need interaction with somebody. Mm-hmm. So because we're not, and I'm going back to my question here, Aneika, because we're not able to really, you know, it's not recommended to really be in close contact with others. Mm-hmm. Is that really affecting people? And are they reaching out to you because of that?
Yes, it is affecting people. And yes, they are reaching out. I actually had a baby at the start of this pandemic. I'm sorry, at the start of the shutdown for the pandemic. And I had a very short maternity leave because the clients I was trying to put on hold until I came back to work were just like, this is happening. So I might have been having intrusive thoughts of homicide. Some might have been having intrusive thoughts of suicide. Some might have just been struggling with severe anxiety and depression. It's just, yeah, it has been real. And I have been seeing people literally just for that. One client called it peopling. I can't people. I was like,
wow.
I'm sorry. I think that's where kids like give you so much to do. Like you're with little people all day. So it's like, man, I'm not peopling either, but I'm surrounded by, no, I'm teasing. But yes, I definitely have seen people specifically regarding COVID-19 and the pandemic 2020 and the stress of all that's going on. The biggest thing I encourage people to do, like I think before we started, Jarvis, you mentioned something about coping skills. The biggest tool that I'm giving clients right now are coping skills, healthy coping skills. Get some sunlight. Like that sounds really simple, but seriously, get in my office, if you can't see, well, I moved my office. Actually, it's been in like 3 different rooms since I've been at home. Mm-hmm. But I have these, I guess they're like plantation shutters. I keep them open all the time. I have this light on overhead because it's like dark outside, but I don't even use that light. I use natural sunlight. But I encourage people, get outside at least 30 minutes a day. If you say, oh, it's too hot, go in the morning, which means get up, go sit outside on your front porch, or if you're in an apartment, on your patio, sit out in the backyard, go walk the dog, go walk the kids, something. But get outside, get some of this fresh, smoggy Houston air. Drink more water. Hydrating the body is so important. Backing off of the sugar, the processed foods and sugar can also be key with helping you to feel better. I don't just go organic with everything, but some of what you're ingesting and eating, if it's like berries, like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, try to go for those things organic. Your meats, try to make those lean if you can. I know it's not financially feasible for everybody, but do what you can for yourself. But being mindful of what you eat, getting some sunlight every day, physical activity, whether it's yoga outside or inside. YouTube, anybody who's got a cell phone can get YouTube. So I say, go on YouTube, look at a yoga video, look at a HIIT workout if you know it's medically, if you're cleared for that. But anything to do just to keep yourself active. Get up in the morning, put on clothes. Don't sit in pajamas all day. That sounds like, really? Yes, it's a coping skill. Get up, get dressed, put clothes on. I didn't just come and just sit in the pajamas I could have put on at this hour. I got up, put on my face, put on a dress, not wearing shoes, but just little simple things you can do for yourself. Give yourself a routine. Just even if it's just a morning routine, something to help yourself cope, because 2020 has definitely been a beast for so many people. And as providers, clinical practitioners, we ourselves are practicing the healthy coping skills that we're giving out to clients. Like, we're not just saying, oh, you do this and we're suffering by ourselves. No, we're doing things to take care of ourselves as well, because mental health, like we said in the beginning, mental health is important. How can I help you if I can't first help myself?
Yeah, that was, that's powerful, because all those things you kind of named, you know, you talked about doing the yoga, doing, you know, eating right, going organic, and all those things that are good to help us physically also impact us mentally. Cutting back on the sugar, because I've always thought that physical health, mental health, and spiritual health are all like intertwined, and you can't really have one without the other
Mm-hmm.
and expect, to be truly happy, because how can you have great mental health if your physical health is trash?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if your body is tired, if your body is just drained, like there's no way you can be in a good mental place
Mm-hmm.
because you're so physically drained, and then you still have all the demands that you have to meet every single day. So of course you're going to be stressed out. I'm tired and I still got to go to work. I'm tired. I still got to take care of the kid. I don't feel good and I still got to do this. I still got to do that. So it's just so ironic that you talked about that. And it's what we should be doing for our physical health, but yet it helps our mental health. I think that's a very important thing. So great thing. So, and then you also talked about, toward the end, you mentioned, how can I help you if I haven't helped myself? That was a question I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, like, how do you make sure, because as a person that's a therapist, right? Because I even look at myself, like I work in human resources. At one time I was in the ministry, hearing other people's problems. I get everybody's problems at work. And then, I have friends and family who also, share their concerns and their thoughts and everything. And then I still have a family to lead and a family to be concerned about. And I know that burden can be, so I can only imagine the burden you might take. So how do you keep your mental health in check?
Man, so I've got this great group. It's the OEO group. I won't say what OEO stands for. But I have this group of people that I chat with pretty regularly. I talk to my Lord and Savior regularly. As I talked about earlier, spiritual health. I'm sorry, you just mentioned that actually. And I talked about earlier that a belief in a higher power is important and can be very key to wellness. And so while I can't like read my Bible as much as I would like to, I've been saying I'm going to do this devotional for like 3 years. I'm getting to it. But I incorporate, whether it's listening to sermons, listening to worship music, just praying like every night. My son and I, son, daughter, husband, we all pray after doing reading time with my son before he goes to bed. And we literally do the Lord's Prayer. He's getting to the point now where he can recite it himself at 3. Like it's great. But that, along with, we go down the list and we pray for specific people. And it's heartwarming to just have my son incorporating and teaching him about our faith and bringing it, making it present for him daily. So if we don't pray, mommy, daddy prayer. So incorporating that piece, he walks us, should I say. I would say we walk him every day, but he walks us. So getting in physical activity, exercise. My husband and I have started a new eating lifestyle. I guess I can't call it a diet. It's just a new lifestyle way of eating. That has helped drastically with losing baby weight and feeling better, giving me more energy to chase a newborn and a toddler and work and still take care of, my husband in the house. Being realistic about expectations has been helpful. In that, yes, we are at home, and you think being at home, you can get everything done. No, not necessarily, but being realistic and saying, you know what? It's okay. So long as like everybody ate today, everybody took a shower today, everybody got some outside time today. If I don't fold that last basket of clothes, it's okay. I can put that off until tomorrow. So being mindful of not overstressing yourself. Nobody's coming over. Nobody's visiting. It's okay if my house is not, like, I tried to keep this room decent and nice because like y'all are going to look at it, but, just being honest with yourself about what's realistic and what's not, and holding yourself to realistic expectations is key. So like I said, the prayer, exercise, diet, water, those same things I mentioned to you earlier that I'm telling my clients. Prayer, all those things are helping to keep us grounded, keep us sane. And I also said earlier too, like having kids to chase after kind of diverts your mind from a lot of the things that could be weighing on you. Like, oh my gosh, I can't go anywhere. Well, where can you really go? You're chasing somebody who's destroying your house. So all those things have been helpful.
You know what? I have to ask a question here. Because I heard you mention, of course, you're a mother, you got a newborn, a toddler, a husband, and all that, and you're a Black woman. And I saw a meme where it was like this Black woman was drowning, and her hand is out, and somebody gave her 5 and was like, "You got it." And you know, I mean, but that I had an aha moment because I had to ask Black women about this meme and be like, "Hey, is this really how it is?" Because that's how I treated women before that. But it wasn't to be a jerk. It was just because I saw y'all as, you know, strong, and which you are, you know, strong, and y'all can handle anything. So my response to any Black woman, if I felt like they were struggling, was like, I thought encouraging, like, nah, you got it. You can do this. You're built for this. But I found out that Black women, they really don't want to hear that. Nah, it's jacked up. I need assistance. I need help, you know, and I just want to say that I found that out in 2020. You know, maybe that makes me a jerk because I didn't know back then, or maybe I was focusing on my own thing, but I just came to this realization of that particular idea in 2020. And I want to know, how do you feel about that one? And I mean, what would your response be to that in general?
Well, first, my response is to you. Kudos to you, because you now know better so you can do better. And I think that's probably my first perspective on it. Like, I go back to my work with perinatal mental health. The hardest thing for new moms to do, believe it or not, is to ask for help. And I give them this assignment. I say, okay, it's hard for you to ask mother-in-law and mom and sister and aunt and whoever else to come help. When, believe it or not, no other country in this world, I'm gonna say no other country in this world has the same perspective as America does about women. We're not even gonna just say Black women. We're gonna say women in general. Women have that I'm strong. No other country in this world. When a woman has a baby, her mother, if her mother's alive, her grandmother, if she's alive, her aunts, sisters, all come over and help to take care of her baby and husband and kids too. She doesn't get up and cook meals. They tell her, you go lay down and rest, because a woman's body does a lot of work when she's pregnant. She's a machine. It's a whole system. And when she gives birth, that machine is doing more work. And when the baby gets here, it's doing even more work. That's whether she's nursing or not. So when you look at it, any country outside of America has a village coming to take care of this woman, whether it's someone coming to do the laundry, someone coming to cook, to assist so her husband doesn't have to go hungry, she doesn't have to go hungry. They'll literally if she's nursing, they'll bring her the baby to nurse. They'll take the baby, put the baby to sleep, tell her, you go, you rest. Here's some food, you rest. They'll clean her house. If she has older children, they'll assist with those older children. She's not left alone. In fact, the Hispanic population in America has the lowest maternal mortality rate out of all races. Now, we already know. I'll say in case you don't know. Black women have the highest maternal mortality rate in America. And so there's a lot to be said about that. We don't have enough time on the podcast to go into that. That's another story. But with regard to Black women in general, that idea of Black women are just strong. Yes, we are strong. But just because we need help doesn't mean that takes away from our strength. It doesn't make us weak to ask for help. It makes us smart to ask for help. It's okay. The family system, the family structure is not designed for someone to necessarily do it by themselves. It took 2 to make a baby. Why wouldn't it take 2 to raise a baby? Now, that's not taking away from any single mother who is taking care of kids on her own. I mean, rock on. But it takes a village. I can't think of a time in my childhood in particular where I didn't have my village around. What my mom didn't do, someone in the village did. What my dad didn't do, someone in the village did. And there were no perverts. There were no pedophiles. I didn't have that. But so many kids do, unfortunately. But going back to women, it's like, it is okay to ask for help. And when you see her reaching, it's okay to give her a high five and say, good job. But it's more important to say, hey, sister, I see you. How can I help you? Hey, do you need something? She might say no. And in fact, I'm almost certain she's going to say no. 9 times out of 10, she's going to say no, because it's programmed, it's ingrained. I have to do this myself. I'm strong. If I ask for help, I'm weak. That message has been sent over and over and over again, not just in the Black community for women, but in America in general. So when you see her needing help, offer, whether it's I don't know, you see her carrying bags and a baby, just grab the bags or just grab the baby, whichever's heavier, or grab both. Just offer help. And not to just force yourself onto her, but just allow her to say, you know what, I see you. I know you can handle it. Please allow me to be a blessing to you by assisting you. Because and like I said, when working with women, it's so hard to get there. I have to tell them, hey, just make a list of stuff that needs to be done, sit it on the refrigerator. And if someone asks, hey, what can I do to help you? So you don't have to say it because it's so hard to do. Just tell them, oh, there's a list on the fridge. If you don't mind, you could do any one of those and just check it off when you're done. And to get it to that level of simplicity, that is the way I've had to teach women to ask for help, especially my Black female clients. If nothing else, try that method. Because it's, like I said, it's just been ingrained for us to just say, no, I got it. And I've fallen victim, to it as well. No, I got it. No, it's okay. I'm okay. And so it's important for Black women to talk to their partners about what they're needing. Like Chris, you said in 2020, this was an eye opener for you. I don't know, we haven't gotten it. I'd like to hear from you as far as what gave you that eye opening experience, aside from the meme. But it is important for partners to talk. Hey, what do you need? How are you feeling? Not just leaving it up to chance or just saying, oh, I'm going to assume she's okay. Or, oh, she's got to be all right because she looks all right.
That's some good stuff. Oh man, that's good. Speaking of what you just said, are you familiar with the show Insecure?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm behind on this season.
Okay. So check this out. With me, not only have I been dealing with the pandemic in 2020, but I've been getting cooked by Black women in 2020 too. Okay. So I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but there's a particular during the season, postpartum is displayed. The postpartum idea is displayed. And I mean, you haven't finished it, right? So
I mean, I'm gonna watch it. It's okay. You're not gonna go ahead.
The final on the season finale, Amanda Seal's character, I forget, Tiffany, right?
Okay.
Tiffany she had just left everybody, didn't tell nobody where she was, and went and got into a hotel. They spent the whole episode looking for her. Mm-hmm. And me as a man, not understanding postpartum depression, I posted like, why did she just leave the baby and just, and I tell you what, sisters let me have it. But in them letting me have it, I found out that was postpartum depression. And sometimes it's best for a woman to just leave because she can harm the baby.
Yes.
But me being a man, I don't know everything. I don't know women. I don't know anything about women. Okay. But I found this out. And I mean, I just had to bring that up because you talked about the whole, you mentioned postpartum depression, and I want to know, and I'm asking, I'm not trying, I wanted to know, is it that serious? And I'm asking because I don't know.
Yes, it can be that serious. From getting up and leaving. And it's funny because even in the hospital and when clients walk through my office, you'll get the same message, which is if the baby is too much for you at that time, make sure the baby's safe. Lay the baby on their back in their crib, nothing around them. You go take 10 minutes, take some deep breaths, and then come back and check on the baby, especially if they're still crying. Come back, try to coddle them, comfort them. And if that doesn't work, you need another break. You keep going in that cycle until someone can come and assist with the baby. So yes, you get that message in the hospital before you leave. You get that message from a therapist if you talk to one. But yes, men too. Men can also deal with postpartum issues as well, in case some people didn't know that. Yeah. So woman can get up and just leave. Some women can have intrusive thoughts of homicide toward hurting their baby, like literally any object, seeing a pin, it might freak her out. And she has and the difference between like homicidal ideation and intrusive thoughts, the biggest difference between the two, a homicidal ideation is a plan or intent, like this is something that you're wanting to do. Whereas an intrusive thought is a thought that comes into your mind that you don't want. It's mortifying. You want it to go away. And I've actually dealt with clients who have had intrusive thoughts of harm toward their babies. Love the baby, wanted to be a mom, and literally for months struggle with this before they ever came in to see me. And so if one mom, if she walked in the kitchen and she saw a knife, she became afraid because she thought, oh my gosh, I could hurt my baby with this knife. If she was in her bedroom with a toothbrush, you think, oh, toothbrush. No, she'd have fear of harming her baby with the toothbrush. Just like anything could become a weapon for her. And so before, the interesting thing is, before coming to see me, she's already started putting in safety measures to assist to keep her baby safe. She'd tell her husband, you go in the room, sleep with the baby, lock the door, don't let me until morning. And she wanted to protect. She did not want to hurt her baby. She wanted to protect her baby. Another thing she did, they hired a nanny so that her, someone could be with her throughout the day. So when these thoughts came to her, she could give the baby to the nanny and go off. And it wasn't like oh, I'm privileged. No, it was I want to keep my baby safe. I've wanted this baby. I want to make sure this baby is okay. I don't want to do anything to harm them. And so, yes, it can be that serious. Yes, it gets real like that. And as the therapist being trained and equipped to handle that, I'm so thankful that this mom came to a therapist that was trained in perinatal mood and anxiety disorders and didn't go to just a general secular therapist, because they might have called CPS on her. She had done nothing wrong. And in fact, she was more of a harm to herself, believe it or not, than she was to her baby, even though in her mind that was not the case. To her, she was literally more of a harm to herself than she was to her child, because she had done so much already before ever seeing me to put safety measures into place. So yes, it can get that real.
So I heard you say about the postpartum depression, even sometimes being in the man. Like, how does that potentially show up, or how have you seen that show up?
So, men want, according to Steve Harvey, men want to protect, profess, provide, right? Like, that sounds great. And a man dealing with postpartum depression, he may work excessively, struggle with bonding with the baby. He may have some form of anxiety. He may be distant from his partner. More so than, like, some men postpartum are like, okay, the wife is, or my partner's totally all about the baby. She's not really about me, but it's him distancing himself, not intentionally. It's just a symptom of it. And if caught early enough, brought to his attention early enough, those symptoms can be combated. Similarly to the way that you would address a woman dealing with postpartum depression. But a man may just work, never be able to take his eyes off of work. Like, you think he'd want to be at home and bond with the baby, but no, solely focused on just that. Maybe not always able to verbalize his affect, may be sad quite often. And it may just look like he's just tired, but it's a bit more than that. And again, it's a full slew of symptoms to look out for. But he might be agitated, irritable, again, similar to what you might see with a woman postpartum. But it's just happening in the man. And actually, even with a woman, once she's in a place of wellness with her postpartum issues, her partner may develop postpartum symptoms after she is well, because you got to think, the woman's been depending on this partner this entire time, postpartum, trying to recover from her postpartum depression or anxiety, OCD, whatever it is. And it is not uncommon for the partner to develop symptoms once the woman is doing better. So the John and Julie Gottman have I think it's the Gottmans, I'm almost certain it's the Gottmans, have a curriculum about bringing baby home postpartum. It's a great curriculum. Now, John and Julie Gottman are these relationship gurus. They have this marriage relationship curriculum that we therapists, a lot of us therapists, not all, have studied and utilize and implement with couples. And they also have, like I said, an additional curriculum that parents can utilize for the postpartum period with, again, it's called Bringing Baby Home. If families are interested, couples are interested, I encourage them to go to, I think it's the GottmanInstitute.com. And they can check it out. I'm sure right about now with COVID, nobody's going in person to these classes. They're likely all virtual. It's an excellent resource for anyone who's expecting or who just had a baby to partake in.
And how long these postpartum symptoms or whatever, or postpartum, how long does that usually last after having the baby?
So everybody is different. There's no specific time frame for how long it'll last. Postpartum symptoms, PMADs can show up at any time postpartum from, actually some symptoms can start before the baby's born, and they can show up anytime before baby's born up through that first year.
So they could last a year, you say?
No, it can start anywhere from just before baby's born. You can start noticing symptoms then, and it can start anywhere from that point on through the first year, the onset. But the ending can happen at any time. And it's interesting that you asked that. When I look at a history of clients that I wasn't seeing for PMADs, because at the time I didn't know anything about it. I can look at a mother with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, and I'm looking at the interaction. And these are Black women, mind you. And I'm looking at the interaction with kids. Obviously, well, not obviously. You might look at the family and say, well, this woman, you have to think that's a lot. I told you about the woman's body being a machine. You put your body through all of this to stretch and carry the baby. Stretch, give birth to the baby, to hate your child. Like, there's a huge disconnect there. So when I see children who might not be treated all that well, or it comes off as if mom's just really angry, that usually tells me that something's going on. And think about this. If a woman had undiagnosed postpartum depression with baby 1, and it was never resolved, shortly thereafter she had baby 2, postpartum depression continued. It was never resolved. Baby 3, and so on and so forth. She's gonna look like an angry woman, or in this case, we're talking about a Black woman. She's gonna look like an angry Black woman, and that's not it at all. Again, when we don't, and I told you as a clinician, when I first got licensed, I knew nothing about PMADs. So think about all the clients, and we're specifically talking about the Black community, who know nothing about perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, who were perfectly fine or felt perfectly fine before having a baby, before getting pregnant. And this baby gets here, and sometime between end of pregnancy and that first year, symptoms started. And it's like their partner doesn't understand because their partner doesn't know what they're dealing with. That relationship might end because of this or other factors. And then another relationship might start and another baby comes. And this cycle just keeps going and going. And this woman's depression is never treated. Imagine the life of not just this woman, but those kids that she's taking care of. Unfortunately, in some cases, the grandparent who's taking care of them, or the sibling who's taking care of them, or the aunt or uncle who's taking care of them. Imagine all that's going on. So when we think about mental health in the Black community, there's so much that hasn't even been uncovered yet. There's so much that hadn't even been talked about yet. That the Black community in and of itself just isn't aware of. When you think about white middle class individuals, that's the bulk of who's going to therapy. That's the bulk of who's aware of these different diagnoses and things that are going on. And so until we are educated on it, and willing to listen, but educated on it, a lot of things are definitely going to continue to go untreated, whether it's depression or bipolar or anxiety, schizophrenia, PTSD, OCD those things are going to continue to go undiagnosed and untreated until we figure out, hey, let me listen, let me get some help.
So let's moving on to one last topic I want to touch, and that is kind of getting your perspective on the effects that social media can have on our mental health.
Oh man, I just had a session this week with regard to how impactful social media is on just this one particular client. But social media can be a great help for mental health, depending on where you're looking for your resources via social media, like whose posts you're looking at or what page you're following. There are some very good and positive and motivating pages and formats on social media to follow. And then there are some that are really hurtful. There are trolls online everywhere you go. So where there might be an amazing thread about supporting whatever population, whether it's women or men or children or moms, whomever, there could be an amazing thread, and you can have that one troll interject and throw off the entire vibe. And thankfully, a lot of times people will come in and say, you know what, person, that wasn't called for, that's not necessary. So that person who's up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, scrolling the internet, looking for something, some form of help. Social media can be powerful. It can be an amazing tool. But it can also hurt because a lot of people compare themselves to what they see on social media. They feel that I can't tell you how many early 20s walk through my door and say, man, I'm not where I should be. Some of my friends are graduating from college and I'm barely starting. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Your path is your own. Someone close to me in my OEO group, we talked about the path of something as simple as, not as simple, but something like going to college. One person in the group did not take out student loans. If my memory serving me correctly, they didn't take out student loans, but they paid for school and went over time. They didn't graduate in 4 years. I want to say it took them 7, 10. Don't quote me on that number. It took them more than 4 years, but they graduated without any student loan debt. Whereas a couple of other of us in this group went straight through. I went straight through bachelor's, straight into master's, graduated, student loan debt. Another went bachelor's, worked for a while, went back, got their master's, student loan debt. Another one, I don't know, but anyway, I don't know how the other one worked out. But what I'm getting at is looking at the path of something is like going to school. You can take whatever path you want. You don't have to, your path is just that, it's your own. So you don't have to follow trend with everyone. Like, this is not 50 years ago where people where you go and pay $300. I think a dentist I shadowed once, a plastic surgeon, I'm sorry, I shadowed once, was saying his education was $300 per class per semester when he went to school back in the 70s or 80s. Whereas now you're looking at tens of thousands for a semester of education. We're not even going to talk about what it's going to look like in 15, 20 years when, our kids are going to school. So, but something like going to college, the path does not have to look like what it looked like 20 years ago, hell, even 10 years ago. And everyone's process is just that, it's their own process. And so it can look however you want it to look. So some may say, okay, well, my friends have already graduated from college. Okay, well, let's look at this. Do they have student loan debt? Are they working on a job that they enjoy? Are you doing something that you enjoy? Does the career path that you want even require you to go to college? Let's be realistic about what's going on with us, or what's going on with her or him. And so it's important to keep in mind what you want and how you want to go about getting there, and being cognizant of the fact that your path does not always have to look like, or shouldn't have to look like, someone else's for you to be successful. Success should not be equated to the status of someone else. I tell clients all the time, when it comes to social media, you look at a picture, that's a fraction of a second in time, that one picture. Let's say you look at a happy couple because you want to be in a relationship. Great. Awesome. That couple could have just cursed each other out. It's amazing when you tell even a child, hey, kiddo, say cheese. They can be crying, tears running down their face, and can turn around quickly. And because we're programmed to just smile when someone holds a camera in our face and says, say cheese. Again, that photograph is of a fraction of a second in time. You don't know what happened before that picture was taken. You don't know what happened after. So let your own relationship be your relationship goal. Let your own life be your own life, not necessarily having to model it after someone else. So again, social media can be a motivator, but it can also be a hindrance if not used wisely.
That was good.
That was real
Y'all
good.
are hilarious.
Cause I mean, that's real. I mean, cause we look at, other people and oh man, I gotta get that. And this couple over here, they look happy, and man, them people probably hate each other.
They just cursed each other out before they saw you.
But they smile for the camera.
Or they're sitting in my office.
Yeah. Yeah. And people always when it comes to social media, like people are always going to put like their best face forward.
Yes.
They're not going to show you, that they sleeping on an air mattress or that, it's just that was good. That was good, man, to kind of let people know that, hey, man, your journey is your journey, man. Your journey ain't going to look like mine. Mine ain't going to look like yours. Because like while you were telling that story, I was looking at my journey. It took me 8 years to get a bachelor's degree, and I came out with student debt. In 8 years, I could have went and got me a doc. I should have been Dr. Robinson. Nah, fam, that didn't happen.
I guarantee there were some lessons learned along the way. There were some nuggets you picked up.
Absolutely.
It's not a destination, it's a journey. And so you may have had some pit stops along the way where you stopped and picked up a few things, went shopping here and there, but it's your journey. It's your story.
I love it. Back to you, Jarvis. I love it, man.
All right, Aneika, is there anything else you'd like to share before we get out of here?
Feel free to check out www.cadiacounseling, CADIACOUNSELING.com. I have a lovely resource page for professionals as well as clients, potential clients, anyone in the secular world who's looking for any resources, or if you just want to talk, chat, receive services, I'm your girl.
I love it. Brad Tuck.
Hey, man. BreadTuckLegacy.com. You get all my information, anything you need, in Instagram, all that. It's on there. BreadTuckLegacy.com.
And of course, JarvisSam.com for this and every other podcast. This was an amazing one. Thank you, Aneika, for sharing
Thanks for having
all this
me.
knowledge with us. And it's been an awesome time. As always, thank you for listening to this podcast.
You know what, Jarvis? I'm sorry, Jarvis. Before you end it, Aneika, one last question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
For people who might not be as fortunate, who can come out and pay to see a therapist,
Okay.
does insurance cover this, or are there programs people can go to have access? What do people have to do?
I'm glad you asked that. So there are free services, and I'm saying free, it's on a sliding scale. So for around town, I'm saying this in Houston. If you're outside of Houston, I'm quite sure wherever you are, it's a Google search away. Psychology Today has an option. If you're in Houston or surrounding areas, HoustonLPC.com also has an option for finding providers. If you are wanting to use your insurance, I encourage you to look at that lovely number on the back of your insurance card, Member Services. Call it, say, hey, I'm looking for a behavioral health, mental health provider. And your insurance company can actually email you a list of providers in your area who take your insurance. Your insurance may cover completely, cover your services completely. It may require that you pay a copay or a co-insurance and a copay, or just a co-insurance. Talk to your insurance company. Everybody's different. If you do not have insurance, you can look for counseling agencies or counseling practices that offer a sliding scale. Some of them may say on this sliding scale, you pay nothing, or on this sliding scale, you pay $20, $30, $40, $50, on up to the full fee, just depending on your household income. My practice in particular, I'm actually starting a nonprofit piece. I made a commitment through one of my social media. I think it's like the Mend Institute. I found them on Facebook. I'm Aneika Pruitt on Facebook too, by the way. I forgot to say that. So, but Mend requires that for me to be a part of this organization, I have to give away a certain amount of sessions to a certain number of clients. So you never know what provider, I'm giving those away in exchange for a discounted rate on my continuing education. And so you never know which providers you're looking for who may be offering those pro bono slots. So you have that option. You have the sliding scale. You have your insurance. Individuals who contact me directly, I'm not seeing anybody in office. I want to keep you safe. A lot of providers are not seeing people in office right now, but we do have a virtual option like what we're doing here to see clients virtually. In fact, on my website, you can fill out all your paperwork. You can pay. You don't have to do anything on paper. Save everything to your computer wherever you want it, and you're good. But even if someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I don't necessarily want to see you, lady, but I need you to help me find somebody, I am always game for that. Again, my job in the helping profession is to help. So if anyone is lost, wants to find, if you're in a different state, I cannot see you, but I can help you find someone in your state. But yes, I first look at your insurance card, do a quick Google search. Again, Psychology Today is filled with providers. Also, Thumbtack is another website where you can search out for providers. But again, Google is an amazing tool. And if you have any questions about that, again, Aneika at cadiacounseling.com or just www.cadiacounseling.com, CADIA, cadiacounseling.com. Phone number I can be reached, 713-702-4747. That's a direct line to me, no extension needed. I hope that helps. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I appreciate you jumping in. That was something I actually meant to cover. See, that's why you have a co-host. That's exactly why you have a co-host. But back to it, man, www.jarvissam.com for this and every other podcast. Again, this was an amazing podcast. Thank you, Aneika, for your time. And thank you all for listening, and we will catch you guys next week.
Yeah, man.
Bye.